It's become unworkable because Congress and the President failed to reauthorize and amend the law when it expired over 7 years ago.
It's the assumption that the answer to our problems lies in more tests, harder tests, higher standards, and that's not our problem.
Welcome to Batchelor Middle School, located in Bloomington, Indiana. Here, about 1/3 of middle school students in the district attend here. They receive a well-rounded education that includes PE, the arts, languages, and video production class, as well as a wide variety of other classes that are designed to help students grow in all areas and not only excel in tested subjects such as math and language arts.
Other schools are not so lucky. Under the No Child Left Behind Act, which was signed in 2002, many schools have been forced to drop non-tested subjects in order to focus on improving test scores.
In some cases, they have dropped other non-tested subjects from the curriculum, including things like the arts and even physical education and other areas that have always been an integral part of the curriculum.
But what exactly is the No Child Left Behind Act?
According to the U.S. Department of Education, the No Child Left Behind Act is a federal education act that was signed by President Bush in 2002. The act requires that publicly educated students must take at least one standardized test per year. Based on these test scores, the state decides if a school is making adequate yearly progress. Each state has a different method to rank schools, and here in Indiana, schools are graded on an A to F labeling system.
The goal of education is not just to teach, it's to have children, have our students learn.
Well, I think one of the things we've got on No Child Left Behind is a lot more accountability and a much better way to measure how well students are doing. I mean, we always knew that a kid was in a good school or a bad school. Now with No Child Left Behind, we have a much better way to measure whether somebody was in a good school or a bad school.
I think grading schools is a mistake because there's a very high correlation between how a school does and the level of poverty that you find in that school. The more kids who attend a school that have high percentages of free and reduced lunch, students who qualify for free and reduced lunch, the more likely it would be that those schools perform at lower levels.
One of our local schools in Bloomington, Fairview Elementary, is in danger of being taken over by the state if it receives a failing grade for the 4th consecutive year in a row.
Many in the community feel as though labeling this school as failing is like pinning the scarlet letter on the whole school, especially the students.
So when you label a school as failing, you're really labeling every kid who attends a school as failing.
Well, it's kind of hard because you think it's all your fault.
So while assessment is important and accountability is important, once you put a letter grade on a school, it can have negative consequences beyond just informing the public, or that outweigh just informing the public about the performance of that school.
And when I just visited China a couple weeks ago and was at a high school, and these students are so focused on getting into these these colleges that, to give you an example, they start school at 7:45 in the morning, school's over at 6 p.m. at night, and most students stay on campus until 9 p.m. There's no athletics, no art, no extracurriculars. It's all focused on academic.
We're not Shanghai. We're not Singapore, we're not Korea, we're not Japan, we're the United States of America.
And we're comparing student scores in the state of Indiana with a norm group. We don't know for sure where those norms have come from.
The problem with Common Core at its basis is the same problem with No Child Left Behind. It's the assumption that the answer to our problems lies in more tests, harder tests, higher standards, and that's not our problem. Our problem is that almost 25% of the kids in this country are living in poverty.
Poverty is so highly correlated with student performance, and it's understandable. They don't have the same kind of support system, they don't have access to books, oftentimes they don't have parents at home who help with homework and so on.
Not everyone agrees that standardized tests is the best way to measure student knowledge or achievement.
The general public has no idea that the test that Indiana uses fails to meet a minimum set of standards that were written by the American Psychological Association.
My junior year in high school, I was called into the counseling office at my high school and told because of my PSAT scores and other previous standardized tests that I was not college material.
Well, the world needs ditch diggers too.
I'm really glad that I refused to accept that, because I did go to college and got 2 college degrees.
It doesn't seem to make any difference because our economy has been buoyed by creativity, imagination, ingenuity, risk-taking. The kid with a computer who has a bright idea and does something that no one's ever done before. And what we're asking kids to be judged by now is, can you pick the right box? That's not a test of the things that matter most.
I believe the current testing situation discourages a well-rounded education.
You can't pick up a newspaper today without a negative story about how poor public schools are performing or teachers not being well prepared.
In the real world, most people aren't against meaningful testing. They know that we need some kind of test to know if kids are actually learning and to hold everyone accountable, including students themselves. That doesn't mean they don't have concerns about teaching to the test or narrowing the curriculum, and I absolutely share those concerns.
We challenge you, Congress, to quit arguing among yourselves
and to come up with the best possible plan to make American schools the best they can be,
without solely relying on standardized tests to measure the progress of students.
If we are the future of America, we deserve a well-rounded education that includes physical education, the arts, languages, and electives.